This is the updated format of our main file now that we have included the fast API router. So making the code and the main file more clean, and then we can right now have a better structure that we can work on very well. Okay, but then today we are not going to do code stuff because it's an app we are building. Now we know all the methods. We need to now focus on how to tackle the app, right, before adding the next features that we need to actually learn. So we learn through the process, right? Today we are going to do something different, right? We go to, so I have a file, right? Google, you can have it in Google Doc. This is my Google Doc. You can have it in Word document or whatever format that you have. A place where we can write our requirements for the code side. So this is a format or a template, or yeah, a template that I follow myself in order to make things clear for me, especially when I'm writing the backend APIs. Okay, so yes, this particular file is supposed to contain many things. In fact, defining my table models, what will go into every column, why should that be, and making key decisions on things, right? I clearly define that before actually starting writing my endpoints and even creating my tables. But this point, I just want to clearly write the endpoint requirements, right? Because we have written the endpoint already. So this is a template I follow. Okay, let's see how I build this myself. Okay, so what I do is that I write all the models that I'm going to use. And before this, I'm supposed to have like table requirements or model requirements at the top before coming to the endpoint. And right now, because we have some requirements, some models already, I just want to show you how I write my endpoint requirements. So I have a column for models for all the posts. Post meaning we are creating, getting, put, and deleting, right? So for the models, that is user model, and then we also have transaction model that we'll be working on that, right? We don't have that one yet. So now under for user model, all the posts things that can do, all the post action that I can do, right? Let's try to write here now. One of the posts is creating a new user, right? This is one post that we do, right? If you want to create something on the user model, so you can create a new user with the post model. So what another get? That's what a get. You can say get user by email. You can also get user by ID. What can we also get? So for our user model, what can we get from the users? Okay, so we can also get all users. We can also get all users. This is maybe if you are having an admin section, right? Only the admin, but the user itself cannot have. Get users, get a users transactions, basically. Get a users transactions, basically. And let's continue. So in the process, when you remember a particular method that you need to implement, you just come and update it here, and we do that. Another thing that we'll do is that for the put, meaning we can update stuff, right? So for the put, I can put let's say email, update email. You can update email. You can update first name or last name. What's another put that we can do? We can update password, right? Based on what password that you have. If there's phone number, update phone number. Yes. Okay, so those are the things that we can do on users, right? For the delete, so just basically deleting users account. That's what we can do on users, right? Okay, so for now, these are the basic requirements that I need to set in when it comes to my guest. So I need to make sure I implement all of them. That's why I have this particular template. And another one is for you come to transactions, I need to create a new transaction, right? So I need to create a new transaction. Basically, that's what I can create. Yes, so right now that's what I have in mind. So in the process, when you remember something that is very key, we can always come and make changes, include them or delete some of them. Okay, so what can we get? Get transaction details by ID, or I can get transaction get transaction by ID, right? It's only ID that we can get. So get I think get the transaction details by ID. So use the ID of the transaction to get the transaction. What's another thing that we can get on transaction? So for now, I think that's what I have. If later on I want to get something, I'll just come and update it. Then what can we update? On these transactions, yeah, you get a transaction ID. Yeah, maybe I can get transaction cost by ID. I just don't want all the details to come by just some specific stuff. Like get transaction cost by ID. I just want the cost, right? So I just go to that endpoint and get that cost. I don't want any plain things to be loaded. So we get what we want. We use what we want, right? We don't want all the data payload to follow at once, right? Okay. So another one is what can I update? What can I update? Okay, let me see. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. Update phone number. No. What can we update? Update transaction cost. Yes. The cost of the transaction, right? Update transaction details. So maybe it's a new detail that we want to add, right? Like description, transaction description, update transaction title. Maybe the title we are updating that, so we just basically go and change that quickly. Then here, what can we delete? Let's say we can delete transaction, right? Transaction, delete all transactions. So you delete the transaction. That's what we can do on a transaction. But when you come to users account, so here we can delete all transactions of user by ID, basically. So use the ID to delete all the transactions of this user. That's like how you can get user by ID. Delete all transaction by getting user. Maybe you can delete all transaction by email of user as well, right? So when you get a transaction, you can delete transaction basically for this one. What are the other key things that we need to do? What are the other key things that we need to do? I think transaction is okay. Transaction is okay. So yeah, these are the basic models that we have, right? So you sit down on every project, you sit down and actually clearly define your post, your get, your put and delete on every model that you are having in every app that you do. So this is the model I follow. So whenever I'm writing the code and I come back here, I just come and make sure that if I've done this one already, I think we have done create a new user, right? Yes, even though there are a few things that we are doing. So maybe let's say delete account, delete users account. Let's say this one we have done it, right? So I can come back here, set the color to green. That's basically meaning that I've done that one. This one is done. Okay. So but right now, if you want to have, you are sharing this file with people that are working in a team, then usually I change the color to orange here like this, so that it will be like I've done it, but then is to be under is to undergo review by my supervisor or whatever. So I do it like this, right? When they review it for me, then I come back and change it to green, and I know that that endpoint I'm done with it. If there's any issue that come up, I'll come and do. So it helped me to track and keep in contact with what I'm doing clearly, especially when it comes to the endpoint, right? So I have the model, the post, the get and put and delete to make me understand what I'm doing. So if I communicate this with my supervisor, then we all know what we are doing. We are on the same page. And then we just continue with the testing. I go and come back. I go and come back. I go and come back. Right? That's how I document this. But that's not all. For the models as well, before this, there's supposed to be a module called models requirements. So model requirements, right? So here for this one, we just have table for each model, right? So the model that we may have, for example, maybe user, so user model, and then for each of them, I have a table. Let me insert a table. I'll just show you how I do it, right? So for each table, I am going to have the column, the data types that will be inside that column, if it is nullable or not, and then any description or reason, right? Then let me add some number of columns here. So here, let me make this one to be centered and bold. And for this one, so they are also going to be centered basically. So here, I'm going to say the column. This one is going to be data type nullable, and then description. I add any description or reason why I think this should be. For example, I can have an ID. The data type should be, this should be a primary key. So I think all these ones should not be bold. Yes. So I write primary key, and then nullable. It should not be null. So nullable is false. Nullable just means that that particular ID should not be null. It should be set. Something, it should always come whenever we are creating. So and then it's a primary key, right? It's a primary key, and then primary key using UUID. Yeah, remember UUID, right? Description standard for differentiating between columns basically. Then the next one for the user model, we had what? First name. So the data type, I say it's a string. Is it going to be nullable? False. The nullable is not going to be false. It should be set, right? They should be set. Users should give their first name as part of their basic identity aside IDs. Then you can do the same thing for last name. This one, data type is going to be a string. Is it going to be nullable? This is going to be false as well. And then this one is going to have the same thing. That's my description for that. I do Control V. This one I say last name as part of. So now I think I need to add another column. I need to add another column. Okay, so you just right click, or let me come here, right click. But why am I not having it here? So let me right click here, delete row, insert row below. So I'm going to insert a row below. I'm going to put one that is not nullable, something like, let's say if you have middle name of the user, right? So it's also going to be a string. Nullable, yeah, it can be null, true. This is not compulsory, as some users may not have or be willing to share their middle names with other systems. So basically, I'm saying this is true, right? So I define my user model. Then let me copy this, right? Control plus copy. Then you go down, Control V. Then this one is not going to be user model, but it's going to be transaction model. So for the primary key, for the transaction, I may need the type. The type, right? The type can be is a string, either or no. The type can be um, type can be um, is either expense expenses or income. One of them, it can be like an expenses that I've done or an income that I've done. So that's the type. I will need either these two. And what another thing, cost of the transaction. The cost of the transaction, this one can be a float for me. Nullable, it cannot be now. You need to set it. And then what can I say about them? This was the amount, right? This was the amount. Yeah, this was the amount. It is a float because there may because the standard for currencies is at least 2, is usually to 2 decimal places. Yeah, so I need a float for that. Then what do I also need? Medium. So meaning that it's a string, all right. It's a nullable, no, false, right? This one states the means by which the payment was the transaction, sorry, the transaction was made. Something like mobile money, Eco bank account, and blah blah blah. Another popular thing that you can add is the date, right? Another column that you can add is the date. So let me just insert row below. Another column that we can add is date created. Date created is timestamp, right? It's going to be a timestamp. Nullable false. Captures the date the transaction was created in the system. Sometimes this may be the time that you created a transaction, but we need to also maybe make another row, date of transaction. So it's also going to be a timestamp. nullable. Some people may forget, right? Some people may forget the time that they actually made the payment, but then I think it should be false, right? Because we need to capture that. So this captures the time, the actual time or the expenses was made before it was recorded in the app. So for the first one, the date created is the date that we have created it. We have updated the app that this is the transaction that we made. It is going to capture, but date of the transaction is going to keep the actual time that you made the transaction. For example, you use your mobile money to buy something yesterday, but you didn't use the app to update it. So you come and use the app to create the transaction. Right? You create it on a particular day. Now this one will be captured automatically, but you this in the app in the front end you need to specify the actual date that the money was actually used, maybe yesterday. So you go and write yesterday's date here, so at the date of the transaction will actually be captured. But the day that you created this or you alerted the system that you are making a new record of a transaction is going to be this date. That's going to be the different one, right? So you see with this model, user model, how this one we need to add more, right? Phone number and all that, so, right? You can complete it, but then I'm just showing you how I do my tempos, right? Models requirements. So I have the user model, I have the transaction model. So when I go to the app, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I know what each model will have, what how I can implement everything, and then I just be marking them. This keeps me on track, and I know what's really goes into that. Okay, so I hope this template helps you, and you also know how you are doing it. This is mine. This is mine. I come up with it in order to actually keep things arranged. I like keeping things packed and well arranged, right? So I don't know what other model that you may have. Maybe if you are not doing something like this, I think it's something useful that you may be trying to keep yourself on track. Okay, so if this thing is working, I think we have a model now that we can follow. I'll try and finish it myself. You should also finish and add some models yourself so that we can go and finish the models and actually continue implementing all our endpoints. See you in the next session.